I'm going to continue using our shortcut methods for proving triangles congruent in this day 3 notes here, practicing sections 1 through 3 and 6. So state the third congruence that's needed to prove triangle DEF congruent to triangle QRT using the given postulate or theorem. This is a particularly important skill, and I want to stress that to make this difficult, sometimes we do not give you any pictures at all, and I highly suggest you always draw a picture for these problems of the two triangles before you can tell what is the reason you're using or what is the missing piece that you need. So please, get in the habit of drawing a picture even if one's not provided. In your notes, they only gave you one image, which is this one here to the side. I have 3 on here because I'm going to use the picture for each of the 3 problems here, so I just got it set up with one for each problem. On the first one, and these weird symbols are supposed to be angle symbols. Sometimes our software makes them look like that. It's kind of a weird thing beside there. But it says that angle D is congruent to angle Q, and angle F is congruent to angle T. And on the bottom here, they're telling us which one to use. Angle, angle, side. This means that the side we choose cannot be included. It's not going to be the angle that's between the sides. So it can be EF and RT because that's not included between the sides, or it could actually be DE and QR. This one has 2 correct answers, so I'm going to list both of them. So we could have EF, remember to name them with the segment bar, congruent to RT, or we could have DE congruent to QR. Either of those would make it angle, angle, side, because those sides are not included between the angles. So this is number 1's picture here. For number 2, let's use this picture over here on the left. It says that angle E is congruent to angle R, and that EF is congruent to RT. They want us to use the angle side angle postulate, which means that the side will be included. So the side that's given as congruent needs to be between the 2 angles. Since it has to be between the 2 angles that we're using, we will need angle F and angle T to be our missing information that we need for this problem. So I'm going to say angle F congruent to angle T. That would make us be using the angle side angle postulate. I think this practice here is one of the best practices for practicing the particular theorems and making sure that you have them down. If you can do this, then you're very good at naming them. The next one, so number 3 will be over here. They gave us DE congruent to QR, and they gave us angle D congruent to angle Q, and they want us to use the side angle side postulate. Currently I have one side and I have the angle, therefore I am needing another side. I need to surround the angle because the A is in the middle in the statement. Remember that if that is in the middle of the statement, that means that the angle must be surrounded, must be the included angle. So the sides that I'm needing is DF and QT in order to surround that angle for that problem. So we're going to go ahead and say DF congruent to QT. The next set of problems just says, is it possible to prove the triangles are congruent? If so, state the postulate or theorems you would use. So at the top they named them. Check the order of the naming as you're doing these problems, because if they name them in the wrong order, then this statement is not correct. On number 4, you can add that these angles are congruent because they're vertical angles and vertical angles are congruent. But then you only have angles marked. Angle, angle, angle is not a reason for proving triangles congruent. So this set is not congruent. The middle set here, they've got these parallel markings on these sides. on the left and the right. Remember that parallel lines lead to angles. In this particular problem, these parallel lines can give me this angle up at the top at N and the one at the bottom at L. Right now, each triangle has 2 angles marked, but they're touching triangles. Remember that touching triangles, they sometimes share a side or they might have vertical angles. This one is sharing this side in the middle here. So each triangle has 2 angles and the side in the middle marked, so we believe it would be angle side angle for the reason. But let's check the naming to make sure that it's in the right order. KLN, K to L to N. K should line up with M, and it does. L has a marking in this top triangle, the same as N in the bottom triangle, so L and N should line up, and they do. So those are in the correct order. So I am going to say yes by the angle side angle congruent postulate. The third one here has some overlapping triangles. They share this little segment from Y to X. It's important to notice that. I like to draw them separately a lot of the times to help myself visualize what's happening. So triangle TZX, sorry, picture's not very good, and that would be YWV right there. And so this piece from Y to V has little 1 marking and a 3 marking, which matches from T to X that has 1 marking and 3 markings. So those sides are congruent. I'm going to go ahead and just mark it like that. Then from Z to Y matches from W to X, and they share this overlapping piece here. So if you put those together, then this piece and this piece match. And then they also have an angle marked at X and at Y as congruent. So you can see when they're drawn separately, it's easier to visualize that this would be the side angle side postulate. Side angle side congruence postulate. We have a few more here. Decide whether enough information is given to prove that the triangles are congruent using the side angle side congruence postulate. So in this particular set, you must be using side angle side for your reason. And if not, you would say that they're not congruent. Right here, they're touching triangles. They share the side in the middle. But the angle is not between those sides. So it is not the side angle side, it looks more like angle side side, which is not one of our reasons for proving triangles congruent. So these are not congruent. On number 8, the triangles do have 2 sets of sides here with 1 marking and then the double marking on the bottom here and then angle in the middle. So it is side angle side. But I do want to kind of point out to you that if I named the first one DKA and I'm writing a congruent statement, they didn't write a congruent statement here. They're just naming the 2 triangles. But if I were to need to write the statement, D should match with S. And K should match with K in the other one. And then A should match with T. So the order on this one, it's okay because they didn't write congruent to in the middle, they were just naming them. But if you did write a congruent statement, you would need to write it in that order. But yes, these are by side angle side congruence postulate. They are congruent. And this would be how you'd have to write the congruent statement. Number 9, they share the side in the middle. They have this right angle on the right, which would mean that the angle on the left would be a right angle, and those would be congruent to each other. But that's all they have is 1 side and 1 angle, and that's not enough. You must have 3 pieces of information. So this is not congruent right there.